Hey folks, welcome to the 11th episode of the Dialog Project with Akash Janarkar, Dhered Hedia and Aditya Bhatia. We have with us Ritika Chowdhary, an incoming MBA candidate at Saïd Business School, Oxford University. She has worked with Bain Company and EY-Parthenon in the past and done her undergrad in BSc Statistics from Lady Shri Ram College for Women, Delhi University. So welcome Ritika. It is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Hi, Ritika. Thanks for joining us today. Let's start by understanding your MBA application journey to Oxford University. So the first question we have is, if you could tell us your profile in terms of three aspects. One, your professional experience. Second, your volunteering activities. And thirdly, any curricular activities which you might have had in your undergraduation college.
Sure. So in terms of professional work experience, I had about 3 years of work experience while I was applying to Oxford. Like you mentioned, I have worked in EY-Parthenon for 1 year, and then I have been at Bain. So when I was applying, it had been about 1.5 years. In between, I had also done an internship with a venture capital firm called Loomis Partners. So my profile was mainly in consulting and a bit of finance. Coming to my academic, my volunteering experience. So I did a lot of social sector activities while I was in college. I was a part of Enactus. I was a part of National Service Scheme. And on the side, I was also a part of a student-led NGO called Asmat, which was based out of Rajasthan. So so actually after my undergrad, I've also done the Young India Fellowship, which is a 1-year postgraduate diploma in liberal arts. So while I was pursuing that, at that time also, I had done like a part-time project or like an internship with an NGO called, not an NGO, I would say it's more like an education management firm called Barefoot Edu.
Okay.
So I would say even when it comes to like my extracurricular activities, it was mostly, I was involved with all these activities. So other than this, I was a part of the student council. So I was the treasurer of the statistics department. I also took part in organizing my college fest called Tarang. So this was mainly what I've done.
No, that's a really very impressive profile. And now one of the very important aspects we have about the application is test scores. So which test scores accepted by Oxford University for their MBA? Which test did you give and what were your scores on them?
Sure. So for an MBA, you can either give like a GMAT or a GRE. A lot of students think that, a GMAT score is the only one which is valid, but it's not really true. Colleges are open to both. I had given the GMAT actually in college, just as like, just to get, so that I get to know about the exam. So I would say somewhere in 2020, when the pandemic had just began, and because of the whole work from home situation, I started preparing for GMAT. I studied for it for a few months. I gave it, completely tanked the exam, got a 640. And it wasn't enough for me to be able to, secure admission in any good college. Then I gave it again after like 2-3 months last year in January, and I got a 670. Then again, but I was very sure that I wanted to apply last year. So admission cycle began around August. So I wanted to get done with my GMAT by June or July. So I again studied for it. And unfortunately, my score was like a 690. So I spoke to a couple of consultants. They told me, give it again. But I was done. Like I was like 690 is enough. Now I'm going to just bank on my profile, my academic achievements. Like I would say my undergrad grades were fine. So the next process was just kind of like looking at, the colleges which would accept a 690. So I looked at the average scores, right, and that's how I decided on my list of colleges. And the other exams that universities look at is like your English proficiency exam, which is like an IELTS or a TOEFL. I gave the IELTS. It's not compulsory to give it. You can show that you have done your undergrad in English, or like you're working in an English speaking organization. So universities sometimes don't ask for it. I just given it for, I was like, I don't want to risk giving it later. So on the IELTS, I got 7.5, which is on a scale of, I think, 1 to 9. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So moving on to one of the very frequently asked questions we have is about if the candidate joined any admissions consultant for their application or any coaching classes for their GRE or GMAT tests. So what was your personal preference during your application time?
So I would say this is somewhere where I initially I didn't do the right thing. What I did was, for me, I was like, I want to get done with everything at the lowest cost possible. So I picked up this course, which was by some consultancy based out of Noida. They had online like classes for GMAT, recorded classes.
Okay.
So I did those, but it was, to be very honest, it was not very helpful. I also I also looked at the official guide, and I was also looking at GMAT Club. So you will find a lot of like notes on GMAT Club from like different students. So that was what I looked at initially. But after 640, I realized that I needed personal coaching. So I took help from like an English tutor. She helped me with my verbal, improving my verbal score. So I was able to improve my verbal score, but after 670, I was like, no, again, I'm going to take classes again. So this time I again took classes both for quant and for verbal. And these are like some of the best personalized, coaches that are available in the country. So I took classes from them. Again, like my score didn't really improve a lot. So I would say to like incoming students, what I would recommend is that definitely, see what works better for you. Do you want to take personalized classes, or do you want to take like group classes, right? Recorded
Right.
classes, like something like an EGMAT or crack verbal, is not everyone's cup of tea, because the thing is, you will understand the concepts, but you won't be able to understand how to apply it. So in those cases, I would say group coaching is best, because there's so many other students with you, right? So you're motivated to study. And other than that, official guide is something that you should only look at once your prep is done, because official guide, there's only a list of a couple of questions, and if you do them in the beginning, you kind of remember the answers. So you will think that your score is very high, but it's just that your brain is like, playing a game with you. You remember the answer, so your score is actually much lower than what you're scoring in your mock test. So my advice would be just see, take a couple of trial classes, see what works best for you, and just do that.
Okay, got it. Understood.
Very useful insights you gave there. Moving on to the application process. What were the stages involved in the application process for the Oxford MBA?
So the stages involved would be, and I would say it's very uniform for international colleges. The first part is that you write your application. You have to submit like an application form, which has, all kinds of questions. What are your goals? What are your academic achievements, your extracurricular activities, your professional resume? What after your MBA, right? Short-term, long-term goals. So I would say these are kind of similar questions which you will see across colleges. After that, you also have to submit recommendations, either like from an academic teacher or from like your boss or like a manager. So you submit your application. After that, if you get shortlisted, you will be selected for an interview. And an interview is with like an admission faculty member, or like maybe like a recruitment officer. This also varies according to each college. Like Oxford, they do it with the admission officer, but for certain colleges, like a lot of US colleges or like London Business School, INSEAD, you have interviews with alumni, with the alumni. So like I know for London Business School, the interviews are also in person, right? So it really varies according to each college. And if you clear the interview, then I would say, so the interview is just an elongation of your application, right? They just want to know that whatever you've written makes sense. So you have an interview, and then after that you get to know whether you get through or not.
Got it. Perfect. So you've given us some information about the interview experience, right? Could you delve deeper into it? And like, for example, what were the kind of things specifically they were looking for? Like, just if you could give us some more details on the interview experience.
Sure. So generally, if I talk about Oxford, the interview is structured this way. They first ask you about, why MBA? Why, and like Oxford is a 1-year MBA. So why do you want to do a 1-year MBA versus like a traditional 2-year MBA?
Okay.
Then depending on your like short-term and your long-term goals, they'll ask you questions, right? Basically it's all like how you write your story. How do all your experiences, professional as well as your extracurricular experiences, how do they kind of tie in with your MBA, and after that with your short-term and your long-term goal, right? So for example, in my case, if I speak about my experience, like I come from a consulting background. So I said that I want to do consulting after MBA as well. So it's about, having a very coherent story. Because if you write one thing in your application and you say something else in your interview, then that's a problem. And they'll also ask you certain specific questions, some clubs that you want to be a part of, some electives or like core courses that you want to take up. What geography do you want to work in after your MBA? What will you do? Because see, for colleges abroad, it all depends on networking. It's not like Indian colleges that, companies are coming on campus and placements and you will get a job. So it's just, they'll ask you all of that. They might ask you a few other like specific questions. Like Oxford has this, has a system. It has 39 autonomous colleges, and each student is a part of a college. So they'll ask you that, you want to be a part of a certain college. So they'll ask you specific questions according to each university.
Got it. Would you have any essay tips or interview tips for our viewers for future applicants?
Sure. Like essay tips, what I would say is definitely stick to what the prompt is asking you to write, right? And like personally for me, I took help from an admission counselor because my writing skills are not great. Okay. So a lot of students think that they don't need help, but I would say that take help of a counselor. It's actually, I know a lot more people have been successful with a counselor rather than without a counselor. Because it's because so many people are applying. There's like a lot of competition. You just need someone who can just tell you how to structure everything you have done in a very concise manner. So take help from a counselor if you think you need it, and definitely get your essays reviewed by a friend, somebody who knows you well. If maybe one of your managers or like your supervisors can also give you information, or like maybe some alumni member or like a senior from college that you want to connect with. Just so I would say get your essays reviewed by 2-3 people, right? Get some tips. And on the interview bit, I would say is interviews, firstly go through your application very well, and go through the college website, the courses that are there, right? Talk to some alumni, and especially to alumni who are in sectors that you are personally interested in. And interview is not, I would say it's not very difficult. You just have to be yourself. Don't get too stressed about things. And another big source to just prepare for interviews is GMAT Club. So each business school kind of has its own page where people kind of write like interview debriefs. So that's like, so I, for my, whatever business schools, wherever I interviewed, that was my source of preparation. So prepare, and that's all, and just stay calm.
Got it.
So, like, could you give us what is like the education and the work visa policy in UK for international students?
Sure. For UK, when you go to study, you get you are under the Tier 4 visa, which is like the student visa, which is valid for like a year, or I think you get 2-3 extra months after that. So generally what happens is after UK, after you're done with your course, so if you end up getting a job, then it's great, right? Then a company will generally give you like a work visa. So you don't need to worry about anything. But in case like there's a scenario that either you've gotten a job, but your company is not ready to sponsor your visa, or maybe you haven't gotten a job, you're interning or something. So UK has come up with a 2-year postgraduate visa now. So you need to start applying for it. Like if I go this year, I think my visa next year will probably expire by maybe October or November. So I'll have to start applying for it like 2-3 months in advance. So there is some sum that you have to pay, and then you get like a 2-year visa.
Ritika, you said that you preferred a 1-year MBA over a 2-year MBA, right? Could you just let us know what is the, like, if there is any difference between the two, and like how can like applicants choose between the two?
So I would say when you are going for an MBA, right, versus 1 year versus 2 years, the thing is that for a 2-year MBA, you get a lot more time, right? So in case you want to change your division, your function, your job function, your industry, maybe you're moving from marketing to finance. Just giving you an example, like you're completely changing something. A lot of people who go for MBA, they want to do consulting or they want to try their hands at consulting, but they're not coming from a consulting background. So that way, a 2-year MBA, after 1 year, you will get in your summer break, you will get to do an internship. Try your hand at that. Maybe if you like it, then you can, if that gets converted to like a full-time job, then it's perfect. Otherwise, if you try your hand at consulting and you're like, no, this is not my cup of tea, then you can change this. So the thing is, you get more time to just think about things. Whereas a 1-year MBA is just a lot more faster. Like, you have 1 year, so if within 1-year MBA, you can only change either your job function or your industry, your job function or your location. You can't change both. So a 1-year MBA is just a lot more fast. It's an accelerated program. So in case you're very clear on what you want to do after your MBA, then I would say 1-year MBA makes more sense. So in my case, because I want to continue with consulting, it just made more sense. And I think I wanted to get back sooner to working rather than taking like a whole 2-year break. So, and also there's a cost difference, right? Like it's almost going to cost you double doing a 2-year MBA. So I think that's what it boils down to.
Perfect.
So thank you, Ritika, for being a part of our discussion and sharing your insight with our viewers.
Thank you so much.
We loved having you on the. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So we loved having you as a part of our discussion, and thank you so much for showing your confidence in our channel, and we're sure that it will help a lot of aspirants in the future.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey folks, thank you for watching our video.
Please like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Also, guys, please don't forget to mention your views in the comment section below, and see you soon with our next video.